We are Initiative Vanguard, and our topic is health and well being, and issue is drug abuse destroying lives. Drug abuse is a major issue in our city of Karachi, especially in the youth. It is becoming increasingly common and it ruins lives of many people, creating lifelong addictions. Drug abuse is the harmful and excessive use of recreational drugs. In this short documentary, we will go into the details of causes and consequences of drug abuse, as well as how you can help people suffering from drug abuse. We conducted interviews at the Promise Rehabilitation Center, a survey for young people, and secondary research from the World Health Organization. Here is an explanation of the causes and consequences of drug abuse, as well as an analysis of our results in the survey from what young people generally understand about drug abuse and what the WHO found in their research survey.
Young people often feel forced to fit in with friends or family who use drugs. Sometimes they just want to try something new, but they don't understand the risks and dangers of drugs. Young people also use drugs to cope with anxiety, depression, or financial problems. Another cause is the lack of awareness and people not knowing the harmful effects, both physical and mental, that drugs can have on you. Family problems like neglect, abuse, or other forms of conflict at home can push individuals towards drugs as well. Now, obviously, drugs being easily available increases their usage, and movies and social media often present drugs as something cool and appealing for young people to use. The health problems caused by drug abuse aren't unknown. There's damage to the brain, lungs, kidneys, and liver, and there's the risk of overdose and death. Drug abuse also causes addiction and reliance on the drug, which makes people lose control over their lives, and it's incredibly hard to stop and ends up with people being sent to rehabilitation centers. Performance in work and academics also falls due to reduced concentration because of the drugs. Large amounts of money are spent on sustaining the habit of drug abuse, which causes financial issues. And when the money runs out, people often turn to crime, and some drugs are also illegal. Relationships with family and friends also get damaged alongside a decline in mental health, which is marked with increased anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts. In the first question of the WHO survey, we find that almost half of the participants blame their drug abuse problem on keeping bad company, which essentially means that it was their friend group that peer pressured them into drug abuse. This heavily implies that these 235 participants started their drug abuse in their youth, while the next highest option implies a later start to drug abuse as those participants started to relieve stress. In the next question of the WHO survey, they found that the option with the largest percent was stressful life events. This reaffirms our previous discernment that we understood from the first question that stress is an important factor to the start of a drug addiction. Stress-inducing events include ongoing poor marital or parental relations and relationship breakups. In the next question, we find that one quarter take responsibility for their own actions, which can be good but can also be detrimental, as that's how cycles of self-loathing start. People may start hating themselves for falling into addiction, when it's not solely them to blame, as other people in their situation would have also done the same. The option with the largest percent is employment or financial crisis, which is just a repetition of the first question, so it's less relevant in this case. 23% say it's family, which might entail that maybe it's normalized in some households. Unfortunately, 30% in the next question feel that their family doesn't care about their drug abuse problem, as again, it may be normalized. So there's no reason for them to worry about it because it's seen as normal. Now, in our own survey that we conducted to have a look at what young people generally think about drug abuse, we see that most think it's a coping mechanism for stress, probably from studying or family matters, and also that they're used by young people because they think it's cool and it's often glorified in the media. In the next question, we found that many people think that the responsibility of increasing awareness among young people falls on trusted adults like parents and counselors. A lesser amount believe that recovered addicts can help by sharing their stories. Some think that instead of showing off drugs, influencers should warn against them. And finally, we see that most of the people who responded to this survey hadn't tried drugs, but in the WHO survey, it was exclusively for drug abusers.
Here is what Mr. Muhammad Ali Rauf, the owner of Promise Rehab Center, has to say about the treatment program used in his center, as well as some other clips from the full interview uploaded to YouTube.
And the program that I use to cure myself, treat myself, which is also the integral part of this program as well over here. Yeah.
So, what is the most common misconception about recovery you wish you could correct?
That is very easy. It's not. Yeah, and it can be achieved by self. That is also a very big misconception. We need help, and you need a very good support system to come into recovery. It was very hard. It was not that easy. Uh, I was young, I was wild, I was free. And to understand recovery was the most difficult journey, I think. A difficult part of recovery is to understand what actually recovery is. I also thought that abstinence is only recovery. But after a few relapses, I understood that the behaviors are also very important to change. The mindset needs to be changed. खुद कोई भी नहीं आता फैमिली मेम्बर्स लेके आते हैं बहुत कम लेके आते हैं खुद बहुत कम लगाते because they are financially not that sound ठीक है they've all destroyed everything they've lost their jobs and now the family find out that they're using drugs and of course they care about their loved ones so they bring them here.
As well as this, here is what the psychiatrist had to say about how patients are brought in, how we can help people we know who have an addiction problem, how many people relapse, and how the treatment itself works.
जब केसेस बहुत ज़्यादा वर्स हो जाते हैं हम उसके बाद जो है वो हमारे नज़र में चीज़ें आती हैं ये सब बड़ी इनिशियल लेवल पे अगर हम थोड़ा सा नोट करना शुरू कर दें कि एक इंसान है अगर वो घर देर से आ रहा है वो ऐसा कोई काम नहीं करता कि उसकी जॉब है या कोई ऐसी चीज़ है क्योंकि फैमिली तो बड़ी अर्ली ही आइडेंटिफाई कर लेती है हम एज अ पर्सन कंट्रीब्यूट इस तरह से कर सकते हैं कि वो जो इनिशियल चेंजेस आते हैं किसी की लाइफ में उनको मॉनिटर करना बड़ा ज़रूरी है और आइडेंटिफाई करना कि आया अगर ऐसा शख्स कुछ कर रहा है तो उससे बैठ के बात की जाए तो रिलैप्स रेट वेरी हाई है उन लोगों के लिए जो अपना ट्रीटमेंट प्लान को फॉलो नहीं करते और आते हैं बिल्कुल आते हैं हमारे पेशेंट्स ऐसे बहुत सारे हैं जो अभी समझे जून जुलाई में गए थे एंड दे आर बैक उनको फिर एक महीना हो गया मेरे पास ऐसे लोग बिल्कुल मौजूद हैं इनको हम लोग जस्ट फॉर टुडे पे काम करना समझाते हैं कि आपको एक दिन का अपने आप को मैसेज देना है कि एडिक्शन मुझे नशा नहीं करना दिस इज द मैसेज दैट एवरी डे यू हैव टू गिव टू योरसेल्फ तो आपका वो एक दिन गुजरता है.
Finally, here is what three of the patients we interviewed talked about.
आपको ड्रग्स की आदत कैसे लगी?
मुझे कैसे लगी मुझे ऐसे लगी कि मैं मूवीज़ वगैरह देखता था और सराउंडिंग ऐसी थी कि मेरे कज़न वगैरह करते थे तो उनको देख के एक शौक हुआ कि भाई ये बड़ी कूल चीज़ है मैं भी करता हूँ ये क्या होता है इसके बाद मज़े के लिए मैंने स्टार्ट किया एंजॉय किया.
आपको एक्सेस ड्रग्स का कैसे मिल पाया?
दोस्तों के थ्रू ही मिला है. मार्केट में इजीली अवेलेबल है, बहुत सारे ड्रग डीलर्स हैं.
और ये सब आई थिंक सारा मुझे लगता है एक स्टेटस सिंबल होता है. आई थिंक आप एक अच्छे एरिया में रह रहे होते हो लड़के आपके जो गैदरिंग हो जाती है एरिया की. मुझे याद है कि आई यूज्ड टू ड्रिंक बिकॉज़ वन ऑफ माय फ्रेंड्स ही केम बैक फ्रॉम कनाडा. बहुत गलत किया लाइक आई जस्ट डिड द मिस्टेक कि जिनसे मैं बहुत प्यार करता था आई लेट देम गो एंड देन आई स्टार्टेड यूजिंग ड्रग्स एंड ड्रग्स ने टेक ओवर किया. मैं आई एम लाइक केज्ड एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम. पर मैं आपको एक बात बताता हूँ लाइक आई फील फ्री इन माइंड. मेरा माइंड है ना फ्री हो गया. पहले जब मैं बाहर फ्रीडम में था मेरा दिमाग केज हुआ हुआ था कि एक साइकिल में नशा का है नशा करना है.
Drug abuse is an urgent issue that needs to be solved by the government. We ourselves can help people who suffer from addiction by being observant of behavioral changes in our close ones and be ready to confront them if there is a suspicion. From there, if suspicions are confirmed, people should get them help from rehabilitation centers like Promise, and people should not be impatient with the treatment.
Thank you all so much for watching our documentary on drug abuse for our Global Perspectives project.